Hey everybody, what's going on? It's me, John D. Villarreal, joined by Paul F. Villarreal by phone. What a night, what a night, what a night. And when I was on my show on News Talk 1040, okay, we were kind of talking about this. And I've been saying this for a while. We've been sort of previewing this. We've been talking about it for a while, live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube right now. And we can take your comments in the chat here via YouTube, and maybe the other platforms might come through. So here's the deal. Let me see if I get a little tighter zoom on that. Let's go this way. I've talked about this. What does this mean? A lot of people are scrambling to try to figure out what this means and where the party's at and where we go from here. And, you know, I was saying that, like, I thought Kevin McCarthy was doing a decent job. I said that on my show, right? But I also said that, you know, part of the young guns, maybe not totally pro-Trump, maybe a little bit of an insider, way better than McConnell, you know, but we had a narrow majority, and here we go. And I wasn't sure what was going to happen with Congressman Gates. We weren't sure what the Democrats were going to do. Was it going to be something like what happened in Texas, where the Democrats en bloc kind of had voted for a liberal speaker? There's a lot of things that have happened in the background. Paul at Villarreal has been doing a lot of research and analysis and has really been listening to things out there. He's big on Twitter, in my opinion, now X. And so my take is this. My summary is this. This shows a couple things. That MAGA is in charge. Okay, I said that. And I don't mean that in maybe the basic way. Give me a second to play this out. Here's what I'm going to say about that. The bottom line, because there's a lot of different ways you can look at this, and Paul, I want to see what he has to think, and we'll take your comments as well if you want to give them to us. It's the old way of, hey, I'm going to say whatever in the to get elected, whether it's on a campaign trail or for speakership, whatever. And I'm not saying this is what Kevin McCarthy said. I'm just saying in general. But then when we get in there, hey, it's uniparty time. Hey, it's lobbyists or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff. Or I'll do what I want once I'm elected. No. Apparently there were certain commitments and made to the Freedom Caucus. And Congressman Gates is like, look, they weren't lived up to. And here is this, and this. And there's other things that have come to light, I guess. And they basically called him on it. And so, I mean, you know, you can look at it one of two ways. You can say, hey, well, we have such a narrow majority. We really have to just do, you know, can't do too much. Don't rock the boat, you know, go along to get along. And it's going to be more of the committees and investigations and kind of the bully pulpit. Or you can say, listen, I only have a limited amount of votes here, so I better, you know, adhere to these commitments and keep my caucus together, keep my Republican caucus together. So I think that you look at who's upset by this, and it's like GOP, neocon, stuff like that, and you look at who's emboldened by this. I think you have to say that Matt Gaetz is a big winner on this. He looks like a leader out there. And then you transpose this on to the presidential race, and you see, you know, people from the DeSantis camp that are kind of saying some different things. Hugh Hewitt's saying some different things. Other people are saying some different things. Not from the DeSantis camp. I'm just saying, you know, other names out there. And so I think that the fact that people are calling up President Trump, of course, he's the leader of the Republican Party. It all comes back around, as I've been trying to tell you. This is Trump's party. The idea that, you know, it was going to be Mitch McConnell and the adults in the room, and we're going to kick out MAGA and Trump. Like, no, dude, how do you kick out 70 million people? Okay, or whatever number it is. I mean, it's an ultra high percentage. And once again, it's getting late pretty early here, dude. It's October the 3rd, and, you know, now we're going to be doing this for a minute. So the focus is going to be off the JV team, right? The kiddie table in terms of the presidential primary on the Republican side. Trump's up 40 to 50 points. Dude, he's just going to cruise and steamroll into this. So that's what I'm talking about. The power is out of the GOP. Fox News isn't controlling anything. Paul Ryan, so Kevin McCarthy was part of the Young Guns, Cantor, Paul Ryan, and obviously Kevin McCarthy, right? Way back in the day, dude, I was in the mix. I know a lot of this stuff. And so that day is gone. Now where are we at? Now, Paul Villarreal is going to drop some. I'm not going to take this too long here. We're going to hit this very quickly. But this is a power shift for Team MAGA. This is a power shift for President Trump. Nobody knows where this is going to settle out. Is it going to be Steve Scalise? There's a lot of different things going on out there. Paul, you've got some updated information. Hit me with it right now. I know this is the thing. Paul F. Villarreal is anonymous. I was just talking to some of my radio people today, and I was kind of laying out. It's like, oh, who's that guy with you? I was laying out, Paul's resume, if you will. And you've got some big name people. I don't want to say too much, but I'm just saying people close to Trump campaign, people, big name people in conservative media, big name people out there. I mean, there's a lot of people that follow what Paul does. He is anonymous on the DL right now. Paul, what have you found out right there? What is the latest?
Yeah, so the latest is that Hannity tonight on his show, which is just a couple hours ago, reported that there have been people from Republicans in Congress reaching out to President Trump,
of course,
to see if he would be interested in a short-term speakership.
That is so interesting to me. I love that.
Yeah, he wasn't seeking this, but it's something where people have gone to him, and apparently he has been somewhat open to the idea in a short term. I mean, obviously he's got a campaign for president and so forth, but it's out there. The two names that I've heard.
Let me time you out for just 1 second. I love that a lot, because you can have someone that's not in Congress that it can be speaker. And here's why I love that. Because he's the leader of the party. He's the real leader of the party. The other thing is, I think you can see Trump doing some deals and having a style and maybe showing the way of how to do this. Again, not for long term. Just do it for a little bit. Just do it for a month or 2 weeks or whatever that it is. It gets the attention on him. There's so much different things. It shifts the whole situation. I love that idea. I wasn't even thinking about it until you told me about it, but I love it. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, so the other two names that I've heard floated tonight, there were actually as well, the two main names that I've heard floated are Steve Scalise,
sure,
who was a number 2
Louisiana
leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Byron Donalds.
Love Byron Donalds. Florida.
Yeah. And apparently there's a report out there that's saying that it looks like Byron Donalds might be the top choice.
Again, close to Trump. And the other thing is I think that solidifies and cements, Paul, real quick. You have Matt Gaetz from Florida, I think Panhandle region. You have Byron Donalds down near Naples. I mean, it shows that Florida is and of course President Trump, Florida is the center for GOP politics at this time, in my opinion. Go ahead.
It is the center. And I want to say this too, just for the audience so they know this. There's been some rumblings that there might be an attempt to kind of come back at Matt Gaetz, apparently in apparent retaliation for this. I guess there's some ethics investigation thing out about Matt Gaetz.
Wouldn't surprise me.
There was some anonymous report let
me clarify that. I have no idea. I'm not saying anything about Matt Gaetz or the ethics investigation or anything like that. When I say wouldn't surprise me, politics is politics. It wouldn't surprise me if now that Matt Gaetz was a leader of this, vacate move and Kevin McCarthy being out, then, maybe GOPE or Kevin McCarthy allies might look for some, try to get score some political points on Matt Gaetz. That's what I'm talking about. That I'm not alleging anything in any way. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me based upon the reports that you're talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so the report was simply there was a quote from either an anonymous congressperson or anonymous Hill staffers saying that people don't like Matt Gaetz, and we're going to see if we can get rid of him based on this ethics investigation. Well, all of a sudden we hear about this when the McCarthy stuff comes up. So draw your own conclusions. So that's going on, but I think that I was just seeing on Twitter, all the MAGA people are extremely happy about this. As you said,
right.
People feel like it's a shift in the energy.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like something can actually be done. And this came to a head because of the budget, the government funding stuff. People believe that Kevin McCarthy kind of didn't adhere to what he said he was going to do. And I think the thing that really put this over the top, in my opinion, was that I guess it was President Biden said
reportedly side deal on Ukraine or something.
A side deal on Ukraine funding, and nobody in the Republican caucus knew that, and there were people very adamant about not doing that. And I think a majority of the caucus voted against it. So it's like, if you're doing this, we don't know about it, that isn't going to work.
Well, I think this is now a shift. No, I mean, well, again, this is a shift in the power structure. This is showing that, and that's my takeaway. Who knows where the ball bounces on this? It's almost like if you have a chessboard or a table setting, and you pull the tablecloth or you throw the chess, you don't know where the pieces are gonna fall. You hit you hit the pool balls. You don't know where things are gonna go, but you know that's shaken up. So I think the business. That's my takeaway. Business as usual at this point is over for right now. And I think that is a benefit to Donald Trump, because the only way you beat Donald Trump right now is to have everything against him and everyone against him. And even that hasn't really worked, right? But to the extent that there's any kind of disruption in the anti-Trump movement, if you will, or the DCE, the GOP power structure, that absolutely benefits Trump, because he is the standard bearer. He is the one that's leading the party, the former past president. All this, the focus is going to be on the 2024 election. So let's talk about that. I mean, do you really think that Trump will be speaker? What do you see going forward? What's your best prediction? Because you've been following some stuff out there.
Like I said, Trump's open to it. Mm-hmm. I mean, how long would that occur for? How long would he actually be it? I don't know. We're going to have to see. It is definitely a very fluid situation. It looks like they're on recess till next Tuesday for a week. Matt Gaetz is like, no, we shouldn't go. We should pick somebody now. So there are people that don't want to take a week off, but that's what they're set for right now. My best guess is, look, if you made me pick somebody, I think it's going to be, I would lean towards Donald.
I love Donald.
Now, I love Donald's too. I think he'd be a great choice. There are some people.
But you could do Trump for a little bit, and then he hands off to Donald or something like that. I mean, obviously they'd vote on it and do all the procedures, everything like that. But I think what you need right now, the benefit of Trump is you need to have the Republican Party come together. He needs the Republican Party to come together to back him. We talked about that on the show on News Talk 1040 a bunch. That we can't have a Never Trump movement or that. I mean, now we're talking about third party runs with Cornel West, and now maybe Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to have an announcement. I mean, there's a lot of stuff and this is what I try to say on the show. It's even for a political expert like me, and I know you're deep into it as well. I mean, it's hard to know exactly. I've been ahead of the game. I've been right about so much, in my opinion, and Paul and I, and we've been talking about it on the show. But what I see more than anything is the status quo and the 2020 playbook, campaign-wise, cannot hold up. It's not going to hold up. I just don't see it holding up, right, for another year or something like that. There's too much change. There's too many things going on. We're talking about a recession going on here. You've got this. That just happened. I mean, this is a big thing, and it just shows you. That's why a week is a lifetime in politics, because almost anything can happen that changes the aspect. Do you agree with that, Paul?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And the thing is, again, like, we've seen different things in the past, and you said being an expert on, we don't know where this is going.
No.
I mean, a lot of times we know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. Really don't know where it's going to go or who it's going to be. And I think that for a lot of people in the base of MAGA, they're excited about that. Like, maybe we can finally do things a little bit differently. And a lot of people are happy about that.
Well, I think that's the thing. And listen, I mean, Nancy Pelosi and really the Biden administration, you could say it that way. Some people say it's Obama's third term. You look at who's installed there. Or you could just say simply like, look, who are the most vocal base supporters out there. You look at AOC, the squad, and it's like that's why they did the Green New Deal. You can't sell out your base. The idea you're just going to run in the middle and purple strategies and problem solvers and gang of 8, gang of 6, all the type of stuff. Like, I think that's over. Both parties have sort of had enough of that, whether it's the Bernie Bros or Robert F. Kennedy Jr. or Trump or and now Congressman Gaetz. So it doesn't mean that you govern by the edges or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I think it's about representation and authenticity, and that's what I've been saying. When you've had, whether it's within the party, you can talk about border, you can talk about all kinds of different, different things. I mean, you have different issues on different sides. On the left, it can be environmental stuff like that. On the right, it's whatever, right? When you have these 60-40, 70-30, 80-20 issues, and they've been hanging out since, and we see that with Dobbs and stuff like that, right? When they've been hanging out for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, at a certain point, people expect, the leaders are going to stand up for them. If I vote for you and you say you're on my, you stand for these values, I expect you to do that, as opposed to just go corporate or go uniparty or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. I'm not alleging anything. I'm just trying to quickly move through this video and just use the terminology of the day. So I think that's what it is. You have to have representation, right? And even Laura Ingraham, I don't know if she watched the video or not, she was talking about that after I've been talking about it for a long, long time. And that goes back to political theory and all kinds of stuff and et cetera. The other thing I would say is that people want authenticity. So tell me what it is, and that goes to your point about Ukraine, Paul. I mean, I think that it's, if you were going to do the Ukraine thing, do it straight up. But I don't think they had the votes. So to the extent that was learned, I mean, I could see where a lot of Congress people probably felt burned by that. And the same thing about having the time to see the bills and all this type of stuff. I mean, people are tired of all this continuing resolution just being jammed up with everything. Like, hey, you got to take all this, you got to take 10, 20% of this stuff you really don't want just to get some of the stuff that you do want. So I think that those things were being pushed back on. And we'll see. We'll see if this is a blip on the radar. We'll see if it becomes a personal thing. We'll see if it goes back to usual, which is, I think, is going to be the inertia for DC and everything like the way that operates. But this could be more of a systemic, more of a sustained shift, particularly with coming up to this presidential election and with Trump on the ballot and with 2024, and particularly if he gets involved in here. And so that's what I see. I think this is a big deal. I can't tell you exactly how this goes, but I do think that it is a blow to business as usual. I think it's a blow to GOPE, and I think it's a boost to Team MAGA and to Trump. That's how I see it, Paul.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that this is something that could, in most scenarios, is going to end up helping Trump. Now, there are some scenarios where maybe it wouldn't, but if you get somebody like Byron Donalds as a speaker, Byron Donalds is he's already endorsed Trump. I don't think Kevin McCarthy has.
The other thing I'm sorry, I was going to say, real quick. The other thing I would say too, I'm thinking we're live on LinkedIn. Let's talk about the markets. Let's talk about jobs. Let's talk about the economy. Some people would be, and maybe the GOPE line or something like that, like, hey, and you can't shut down the government. We just got to keep things going and all that type of stuff. Okay, well, I think this move is maybe a recognition, in part, that this election 2024 is pretty important, that things have gotten to a certain point. And we see, again, we talked about this on the show, News Talk 1040, Nigel Farage, podcasters now have to register allegedly or reportedly in Canada. Like things are just at a different zone right now. And people are like, wait a minute, like this is too much. You know what I mean? And I think that it kind of bespeaks of the importance of this election and where we're at the moment. And listen, I guess hindsight will be 2020. We can look back and say, hey, Matt Gaetz, maybe this is personal, maybe this is a mistake, maybe this is where the Republicans kind of blew it. Or we can look back and say, hey, Matt Gaetz potentially is a political hero on the right and really stood up to the powers that be and put a stop at a point where we need people to stand up because these issues are getting pretty serious. And this election is pretty important as well. I don't know, but I think there's some aspect to that too, that it kind of is a sign of the times, Paul, and the seriousness of the issues.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I think that this could definitely be, when we look back, this could certainly be like an inflection point. And it's going to be interesting. Like I said, though, I think that the chances that it's going to work in Trump's favor are a lot more than the chances that it'll work against him. And like I said, MAGA's energized very much so from this. And the people that people that are more towards anti-Trump are very unhappy about this. So that kind of gives you a sense of where all that is.
And again, to wind down here, and I'll repeat it again for those of the new viewers of like, my opinion is this. I mean, obviously, if you watch the show, if you watch my stuff, you know where I'm at. I'm pretty plain about where I'm at politically, conservative, almost libertarian. But more than anything, I think that it's important that people get transparency. I think that it's important that the people are in charge in the constitutional republic, the system that we have, here in America. And I think that or wherever you are in the world, I think it's important for the people to have representation. So I just want the people to be in charge, right? And I want there to be honesty, authenticity, and transparency, and that's what it is. You know what you're voting for, and at some point, 10, 20, 30 years, whatever it is, if it's big enough margins that people want it, you should get what you're voting for, to some degree, right? Again, within the structure of the constitutional republic or whatever system that you happen to be in around the world. And so I think that's the deal, right? And as opposed to political machinations and uniparty and fooling people and splitter strategies and all kinds of other things that kind of take the choice, potentially, allegedly, possibly take the choice and give people the illusion of choice, take the choice away from people, and then it's having it controlled by potentially a small number of people or whatever. So that's what I would say right there, and we'll see. And listen, here's the other thing too, for people that are bemoaning this. Go look at the Federalist Papers. Go look at how the Constitution was formed and stuff like that. Go look at the movie, the great historical piece, John Adams or the letters between Adams and Jefferson and stuff like that. Like, dude, real constitutional republic democracy, people that talk democracy, it's messy. Okay, this is what it is. You have to have this is why you kind of hash these things out, and this is the form, the political form to do that. So I think it's totally fine. I think that the sun will rise tomorrow, and everything will be okay, and we'll see what the way forward is. And a lot of other countries have this, coalition governments. I mean, my wife's from Israel. You look at Israel, the coalition governments there. I mean, I don't think this is super uncommon, and we just saw I think a change in government over in England, right? I mean, so we'll see what happens, and I think it's in the end it's probably healthy for politics and democracy. That's kind of where I come out on it, and we'll see what the way forward is from here. Paul, any final comments?
Yeah, look, I just think that, as you said, the young guns, the Cantor, Ryan, and McCarthy, you can just see the party is moving away from that. They're moving away from the old guard towards a new thing, and I think that that's good.
That's good, and they're moving away from the Bushes as well, and that's the thing. Like whatever, Kennedy's, Bushes, Clintons, I think that it's tough because you want to give you don't want to be, anyone should have an opportunity, right? At the same time, like I think that America moved away from England, King George III and all that, if I remember my history right, and we're not about royalty, we're not about a quasi aristocracy, political or otherwise, and no less than George Washington declined the title of king and declined more than 2 terms. And I think that that's very telling, right? And that's how we started. And I think that there's a lot of sense, and we've done pretty well for well over 200 some odd years here, right? Coming up on I guess we're getting close to 250 if I have my math right. It's a little bit late. So yeah, it's a big deal, and I think that I think we're okay. I think we'll see where it goes from here. So anyway. So for Paul, I'm John. That's where we're at right now. I think it's bottom line summary. I think this helps Team MAGA. I think this probably helps Trump. I think we don't know, but I think that it more than anything, it's kind of a sign of the times and a pushback against business as usual. And we'll see where it goes from here. So we, obviously breaking news. We had to react to it. Love to see your comments. For Paul, I'm John. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.